Hey, you. Ever find yourself clicking that buy now button? Maybe something just popped up in your feed.
Oh, totally. With like a countdown timer rushing you.
Exactly. You weren't even looking, but suddenly it feels, I don't know, essential. An unmissable deal.
Yeah,
So today we're doing a deep dive into, well, into why that happens. What are the forces shaping our shopping habits?
right. We're going to try and unpack some of those hidden influences behind why we buy what we buy, and importantly, what the bigger picture impact is.
Okay.
And this whole discussion is really inspired by, that documentary on Netflix, the one looking hard at consumer culture.
Ah, yes. Buy now. The shopping conspiracy, that one really got us thinking, didn't it?
It really did.
About how, clever marketing and maybe other things nudge us towards constantly buying stuff. And it also really highlights the environmental angle.
For sure.
So our kind of mission today is to explore these ideas with you all so we can maybe become more informed, more conscious consumers.
Exactly. It's not about like telling anyone not to shop.
No.
It's more about understanding the system behind it all. What's going on beneath the surface.
Right. Understanding the why.
Yeah. And one of the concepts that comes up is this idea that some products, they're actually designed to not last.
You mean on purpose?
Kind of seems that way sometimes. Ever notice how, say, your phone or some gadget seems to, I don't know, slow down or the battery fades just as the new model comes out?
Oh, absolutely. It feels like clockwork almost. You get a new phone, maybe a year, 2 years pass, and suddenly the battery life is, well, terrible.
Yeah.
Or the updates make it sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you wonder.
And what's interesting is that feeling isn't always just in your head. There's a term for this idea, planned obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence. Okay.
It's basically this idea, this strategy
Yeah.
of deliberately designing products so they become outdated or, stop working well after a certain point.
Wow.
The goal, well, from a business standpoint, is pretty clear.
Mm.
Encourage you to buy the next thing. Keep the cycle going.
So it's not just my imagination. Things might actually be made to break or become obsolete sooner rather than later.
It's a strategy that's certainly discussed and, well, seemingly practiced in some industries.
That definitely makes you think about waste, doesn't it? If we're constantly replacing things, where does it all go?
Exactly. And that feeds directly into this huge growing problem of e-waste.
E-waste, electronic waste.
Right, all the discarded electronics. Phones, laptops, tablets, TVs, you name it. When these things aren't disposed of properly, and often they aren't.
It becomes a massive environmental headache.
A huge one. Just think about the sheer volume. We all upgrade our phones fairly often, computers too. Where does all that old tech end up?
Landfills mostly, I guess.
Yeah.
And I've heard electronics have some pretty nasty chemicals inside.
That's right. Lead, mercury, cadmium. Things you really don't want leaching into the soil or water. So, yeah, landfill isn't ideal.
Okay, so planned obsolescence leads to more e-waste. What else drives this constant buying? The documentary also touched on marketing, right?
Oh, absolutely. Marketing is, it's a huge piece of the puzzle. How many times do you see those limited time offer banners online?
Constantly. Flash sale. Only 3 left in stock. Order within the next hour.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It creates this urgency, this FOMO fear of missing out. Suddenly you feel like you have to have it right now.
Mm-hmm. Even if you didn't know it existed 5 minutes before.
Exactly.
And that's tapping right into consumer psychology.
Yeah.
These tactics, they're designed to trigger an emotional response, to bypass our more logical thinking.
Makes sense. Get you acting on impulse?
Precisely. And it's not just online. Think about the constant sales events, seasonal promotions in physical stores too. It all contributes to this culture of impulse buying.
And those impulse buys, I wonder how much of that stuff actually gets used regularly versus just sitting in a closet or drawer.
That's a really good question. And while a discount seems great at the moment, it's worth thinking about the resources that went into making that item, especially if it ends up barely used.
Yeah, the environmental footprint. The documentary also talks about fast fashion, right? That seems like a prime example of this rapid consumption cycle.
Well, definitely. Fast fashion, it's all about quickly producing trendy clothes, really cheaply.
Which is appealing, of course. You can get the latest styles without spending a fortune.
Right. But the flip side, as the film points out, is often, well, unsustainable materials, questionable production methods.
Yeah, I remember reading about the huge amounts of water needed for textile production and the chemicals used in dyeing fabrics.
Exactly. And because the clothes are often designed to be cheap and follow fleeting trends, they're not always built to last.
So people buy more, wear it a few times, it goes out of style or falls apart, and then they buy more.
That's the cycle. The low price tag often doesn't reflect the true cost environmentally or sometimes socially in terms of labor practices.
And then there's the waste issue again. Textile waste this time.
A massive issue. The documentary highlights just staggering amounts of clothing ending up in landfills every year. And synthetic fabrics like polyester. They can stick around for hundreds of years. They don't really biodegrade.
Wow, hundreds of years. It's hard to even picture that volume of waste. Clothes, electronics, and what about all the packaging from online orders?
Another major contributor, especially to plastic pollution.
It really feels like our everyday buying habits have these huge interconnected consequences.
They really do. And the documentary, it doesn't really pull any punches showing the scale of these environmental impacts. Plastic in the oceans, impacting marine life, resource depletion. It's pretty sobering.
It can feel, yeah, a bit overwhelming when you look at it all together, but it wasn't all doom and gloom, was it? Did the film offer any, solutions or ways forward?
Thankfully, yes. It does explore ways we can shift towards more sustainable practices.
Okay, good.
One big concept is the idea of a circular economy.
Circular economy. What does that entail exactly?
So instead of the typical linear model, make, use, dispose, a circular economy tries to keep resources in use for as long as possible. You extract a maximum value while they're in use, then recover and regenerate the materials at the end of their service life.
Okay, so less throwing away, more reusing and regenerating?
Exactly. Like for electronics, there are initiatives looking at better ways to dismantle old devices, recover those valuable metals and materials, and use them to make new products.
That sounds much smarter. Closing the loop, kind of.
Right. And then on a more individual level, the film stresses the importance of just being more mindful consumption.
So pausing before you click buy now.
Yeah, basically. Asking yourself, do I really need this? Is it built to last, or is it going to fall apart quickly? Is there a more durable option?
Choosing quality over just quantity.
That can make a huge difference. I think we've all had that experience, right? Buying something cheap that breaks almost immediately.
Oh, yeah. And then you have to buy another one. Ends up costing more in the end.
Both money-wise and, resource-wise. So investing in things that last longer can be more sustainable.
Makes sense. What else? Supporting certain brands.
That's another key point.
Yeah.
Supporting sustainable brands. More and more companies are trying to do better, using recycled materials, reducing packaging, ensuring ethical production.
So voting with your wallet, essentially.
Kind of, yeah. Signaling to the market that consumers care about these things. And the documentary also really champions buying secondhand.
Thrift stores, vintage shops, that's become way more popular lately.
It has. And it's fantastic. Giving items a second life reduces the need for new production entirely. Plus, you can find some really unique stuff.
Totally. And what about upcycling? Is that related?
It is. Upcycling is taking waste materials or unwanted items and transforming them into something new, often something of higher value or quality.
Like turning old jeans into a bag or pallets into furniture.
Exactly. It's creative, reduces waste. It's a win-win.
So, mindful buying, supporting good brands, secondhand, upcycling. What else?
Well, the basics are still crucial. Proper recycling, making sure electronics go to e-waste facilities, not the regular bin. Recycling textiles where possible.
Right. And maybe repairing things instead of just tossing them?
Definitely. The right to repair movement is gaining steam too. Fixing things extends their lifespan significantly.
Okay. And finally, just talking about it. Spreading awareness.
That's maybe one of the most powerful things. The documentary highlights this too. The more people understand the connections between their choices and the bigger impact.
The greater the chance for collective change.
Exactly.
It really feels like, even small individual actions can add up. It reminds me of that story, is it from Chicken Soup for the Soul? About the starfish.
Oh, I think I know the one you mean.
Yeah, this person's walking on a beach just covered in starfish washed ashore, and they're throwing them back in one by one. Someone else comes up and says, there are thousands, maybe millions, you can't possibly make a difference.
Right.
And the person just bends down, picks up another starfish, throws it back into the water and says,
Made a difference to that one.
yeah, exactly that.
It's such a simple but powerful illustration, isn't it? That individual effort isn't futile. It matters.
It really does.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, which was sparked by thinking about that documentary, the main takeaway really is about moving towards more thoughtful consumption.
Yeah, it's not about guilt trips or saying never shop again.
Not at all. It's about being smarter, more conscious, making choices that align better with maybe a more sustainable world.
Choosing to buy less overall, maybe. Supporting those brands doing good work. Raising awareness. It all adds up.
Collectively, those choices can drive significant positive change.
So for you, our listener, and next time you see that really compelling buy now offer, maybe just take that extra second pause. Ask yourself, is this something I truly need? Or is it perhaps just really effective marketing playing on my impulses? As the documentary showed, our decisions do have ripples. They matter for the kind of world we want to live in.
Absolutely. And, to help with navigating all this, maybe we can quickly recap some of the key terms we touched on today. Understanding the language can give you a good framework.
Good idea. A little vocabulary recap.
Okay, so we talked about planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
That's designing products deliberately to have a limited lifespan.
Right. Makes you buy more. Then e-waste, all that discarded electronic junk.
Yep. And fast fashion, the super quick cycle of cheap, trendy clothes.
With big environmental costs, okay?
Then sustainability itself, basically. Meeting our needs now without messing things up for future generations.
Got it. And upcycling.
That's transforming waste into something new and better or more valuable.
Cool. What about carbon footprint?
That's the total greenhouse gas emissions caused by, well, an individual event, organization, or product. Basically, your impact climate-wise.
Okay. And greenwashing. I feel like I hear that one more lately.
Yeah, that's when companies claim to be environmentally friendly, but it's misleading or not entirely true. Marketing spin, essentially.
Oh, okay. Good to watch out for. And zero waste.
That's more of a philosophy or goal aiming to send nothing to landfill. Reduce, reuse, recycle, compost, everything.
Ambitious, but a good direction. Last one.
Ethical consumption. That's consciously choosing goods and services produced in ways that minimize harm environmentally and socially. Thinking about fair labor, resource use, etc.
Okay, great list. Planned obsolescence, e-waste, fast fashion, sustainability, upcycling, carbon footprint, greenwashing, zero waste, ethical consumption.
Exactly. Keeping those terms in mind can definitely help you look at those buy now moments with maybe a clear perspective, more awareness.
A valuable toolkit for navigating modern consumer culture. Thanks for breaking that all down.
My pleasure. Lots to think about.